Hello, this is Ben.
And I'm Ann.
We are the founders of E&I Paint. My sister and I are very excited to be collaborating with you online and share the craft that has been in our family for as long as we can remember. If you haven't already done so, please follow us on Instagram and Facebook at E&I Paint, where you will be updated on our collection and upcoming events.
We hope you received our paint kits or have sourced your own supplies. In any case, last minute work has to be done. Please see the short list of recommended items. We typically work on a 16 by 20 canvas, but any size can actually work. We have 3 common brushes: a blending brush or a wash brush. This covers large parts of the canvas and can blend too. This is a flat brush. A number 4 or a number 6. This is great for wide strokes or where you want a lot of paint. And finally, a liner brush. A number 0 or 1. This is great for fine details in your artwork. Acrylic paint. The primary colors: red, blue, yellow, and for shading purposes, we're gonna add black and white. We didn't mention that we need a palette, a cloth, water cup filled 3/4 with warm water. Before you start any painting, I'd like to give you guys some housekeeping tips. First, make sure that your brushes are always clean when changing color. Secondly, you should always have clean water. Change your water often. Third, acrylic paints dry out really fast, so make sure that once you use them, they are completely sealed and airtight. Clean your brushes with warm water at the end of your session if you would like to keep them. In this tutorial, we will be painting bird lovers. We're gonna start off with the background and then make our way to the tree and then branches, and then we're gonna do the birds, and then finally we're gonna add in some flowers. First, we're gonna start off by using these 3 colors for our background. You might have a darker shade of blue if you purchased our kit. Nevertheless, we are going to make our blue slightly darker and add it to the bottom of our canvas. By doing so, dilute your brush with some water and then add some blue, and then I'm going to add a little bit of black into my blue to make it darker. You may not need to do this step because you might already have a dark shade of blue. And I'm gonna start off with the bottom part of my canvas and color it a dark blue. Using the same blending brush, we're gonna add white to it and start off from the bottom of your canvas and just go up. What my brush is actually doing is picking up the pigment from the bottom of my canvas and extending it upwards. What I'm doing here is I'm actually taking some white fresh paint and just making some extra white streaks starting from the top to the bottom. Using your medium-sized brush, I would add some more white paint and just make extra lines for creativity purposes. I'm gonna try to make that basket effect, so I'm just gonna add a white line here. I'm gonna add one here. Now that I'm finally happy with my background, I'm gonna let it dry for about 10 minutes before I do my trees and branches and the bird. Now that my painting is fully dry, I'm going to use my medium-sized brush and pick some black paint and draw in my tree branches. I'm gonna start off from here, go up just a little bit, and then slope downwards. This dip is crucial because you want the birds to be sitting on this dip right here. And then we can go back up. Now the less pressure you apply to your brush, the thinner your line's gonna get. If you apply more pressure, it's gonna get thicker and thicker. So make sure we are always going from thick to thin. We're gonna add another branch down here. And then sometimes when you twist your brush, as you can see, it's getting thinner and more random, and that's what we're after. Now I'm gonna move on and use my liner brush for thinner details. This is what I have. And now we're gonna add more branches. I'm gonna go to this side and do the same thing. Your branches can look completely different. They don't have to follow my suit. You can add more or less depending on what you want to achieve from it. I'm just gonna thicken this line a little bit. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and draw the birds. Using your liner brush, take some black and create 2 teardrops right here, touching each other. Now watch me demonstrate before you attempt this. We're gonna fill it in with black. We're gonna add another one here. Now we're gonna make this one just a little bit shorter. And then we're gonna add 2 circular shapes, which will be the heads of the birds. And then finally, we're gonna add some feathers, but then I wanna make sure my brush is really thin, and by doing so, you can twist your brush in circular motions. That way it'll sharpen the tip of it. And then now, my final step, I want to add some gray to it to give it a shade by adding a little bit of white and black, making it dark gray. I'm just going to add a stripe here, in here, and one more here. My final step of the birds, I'm going to take a tiny bit of white and make the birds look a little shiny by adding this reflection. That concludes my birds. Now that we have finally completed our birds and branches, we're gonna go ahead and paint the flowers. For the flowers, we're gonna need our primary colors plus white. We're gonna make some brown by adding some yellow, red, and black, and then mixing it very well. I'm gonna add more white to make it light. We're going to have a combination of brown flowers, yellow, as well as white. We're going to start off with brown. To make a flower, you're simply adding 5 petals, just like this. This is the easiest way to paint a flower. We're going to place our brown flowers in random spots. Now, how many flowers you want to add to your painting is completely up to you. If you want to give your flowers a 3D effect, you simply add more paint to your brush and just go dab, 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 and dab. Make them random by making some large and some small. That way they're not consistent. Make sure you wash your brush with clean water before you start the other color. Now I'm going to start with my yellow flowers. Now see, if you add a lot of paint to your brush, all you're doing is drop, 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 and drop. Oops. Since I made a mistake here, I'm actually gonna make it a flower as well. Because again, there is no perfect painting. And this is completely optional. It's because I had some paint drop here. I'm just going to add a stem. As you can see, your painting does not have to be perfect. You can deviate away from the original concept anytime because it's art, and that's the beauty of it. And finally, we're gonna add some white flowers to the mix. Now that I'm finally happy with the amount of flowers I put in, our last step is to actually just add some brown and black and place it in the center of our flowers just like this. And that concludes our tutorial. Thank you for using U&I Paint. We look forward to more future collaboration. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at U&I Paint and tag us with your work. We're also happy to answer any of your questions by emailing us at uandipaint@gmail.com. Have a great day.